And hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is This Week in Coverager. This is the podcast where the Coverager team and sometimes a guest, we discuss some of the more controversial, hottest topics of the weeks, the things that have could really impact insurance, insurtech, fintech, and a whole bunch of other areas. I am in podcasting headquarters in Naples, Florida, and in traditional Coverager headquarters, we have Sheffy and Avi in New York City. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you.
Happy Thanksgiving. This reminds me because this week someone told me you have a brother at Naples, and I said, nope, nope, not quite brother, but we're family.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so
I feel like we're related. Absolutely. Avi,
we
happy
definitely
Thanksgiving.
push the family business all the way. It
You
stuck.
Yeah,
do. Well, it's when I started working with you guys, it was, oh, we have a brother and he does the IT stuff. I'm like, you have another brother? Okay, so there's three of you. And then it's like, oh yeah, and we have, and then I saw someone else's name, some with the same last name. I'm like, well, who's this? Is this a cousin? Like, no, that's our sister. I'm like, how many are you?
I remember that. Yeah.
So it was Thanksgiving, and I'm very thankful to be able to do this on a weekly basis. It talk about shaping my mind on seeing a particular or a different perspective. So I'm before we get to the end, I just want to say I'm grateful to all the listeners who listen in, but particularly to Sheffy and Avi for really shaping my worldview when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So thank you.
we're happy to have you, and we learn a lot. I mean, every week we learn a lot, and it's part of the job. It's nice to get different perspectives and
Absolutely.
discuss different news.
Yeah. So for those that were listening last week, we signed off and said, we'd probably see you in 2 weeks, but nope. There was a hot enough topic that we decided post Thanksgiving, let's get together and let's just talk about it for a few minutes and share that with our audience. So I'll kick it over to Avi. Avi, what was that hot topic that caused all of us to get out of bed early on a Friday morning after Thanksgiving, after lots of Riesling and turkey? What could have been this topic?
So Metromile is coming back from the dead with a new move. SPAC, they're being taken public. They're going to get an estimated 300 million, into the company. Really great news. And I think speaking, and we covered the story, the real story of what happened at Metromile. And I was in contact with several former employees, and their impression was this company was kind of going to be like a zombie. They're going to continue, have their book of business. And we're going to talk about Metromile's book of business soon. And this news came, and obviously it's a big deal for Metromile because I don't think they expected it. I think, I don't know who initiated this, if it came from the investor side or from Metromile as they were, trying to raise more money to continue their operations. But it's definitely a big news. They say that God sends nuts to people without teeth, and this is the story. This is Metromile. It's a company that for years did not execute well, and we're going to also talk about this niche of a market of low mileage drivers and what that means during the pandemic. But this is not a efficient company. The product, I like the idea of low mileage insurance. I like it. The product was not well executed. So many errors with the Pulse device and so many other aspects. They have bad reviews and claims and so many other elements. So great idea, great product, very bad execution. Now they're getting money to enlighten us, to disrupt insurance and all of that. And it's hard not to talk a little bit about the personal stuff because this is not business. Because if you looked at it from a business perspective, Metromile is a failure. It's a failure.
Mm.
And with that, I'll kick it over to you guys.
Sheffy, you think it's a failure?
For sure. So, for me, it's a company that looks exactly like it did when it first started, minus the Uber relationship. So, I don't know how many of you remember, but in 2015, Metro Mile had a big announcement. They were partnering with Uber to offer low mileage drivers insurance. That didn't pan out, as they never actually expanded to work with Lyft. So it was just Uber. And then I don't know when exactly, but in 2018, that partnership was no longer available. So when I look at distribution, Metromile is sort of on its own. It relies on SEO, SEM, marketing, advertising. And we could talk about what that means in the metrics that they've shared with us in a bit, but not much has changed. This is a company that was founded in either 2011 or 2012, guys. Which one was it?
Or maybe 2010 or
I
2011
don't
or
know. Somewhere
2010.
when
I'm not
like
sure.
yeah, the days of Snapchat is
One
pretty
of
much
the
when
one of the
2011.
oldest
Yeah.
startups.
So
Definitely.
well before the word insurtech actually became a thing.
Yes. And what I love about this is that, so I think, to summarize parts of what Avi said over there was just basically, this is unearned. This is not business doing good business, and here's the reward for it. And when one of their investor, Jamaat, was basically saying, look, Buffett has Geico, I pick Metromile. Well, he's going back to like 1995 when Buffett acquired the entirety of Geico, right? Let's talk about what is going on today. You've got Tesla entering the insurance space, General Motors, Rivian, right? So auto manufacturers are definitely eyeing insurance. They got the better technology at it as well. You've got new entrants of the like as Root. So for instance, Root versus, okay, so, back to what the customer is thinking. For the customer, Metromile is based on how much you drive. But Root has kind of a similar proposition where it's based on how you drive, right? Go find the differences. So people are going to compare. They've been on purpose in these select states, right? So they haven't grown between the 8 states that they're live in, because that's a demographic that fits the product. Now they're
Not
promising.
necessarily. They had filings in New York and Florida, and they withdrew these applications. Some because of errors how they filed them, and you can't ignore New York as a market with all the rich people parking their Mercedes in their garage, paying $600-700 a month and barely driving anywhere.
Well, here's where I heard, I mean, this is about 2 years ago, but the idea was that they are looking for a certain kind of person that takes the car to the train station, take the train station to work, right? So in New York
That's New
City,
Jersey. That's New Jersey. You're right. They do
yeah.
that in New Jersey.
So again, this is not mass market.
But they're saying they're going to go nationwide. All
They're
of a
saying a lot
sudden,
of
in
things.
10 years, they've been in 8 states. By 2022 or end of 2021, or they're going to go nationwide. So why did you wait all this time? And now, by the way, they were looking at Root, and as I said, speaking with some of the former employees, Root was a target, which is funny because you were here before them. So what happened? Are you an incumbent, Metromile, that you're comparing yourself to Lemonade and Root? What happened to you? So they're looking at them, and they launched this ride along. We covered that as well. Where it's based on your smartphone. You download the app, you drive for 17 days or however days, and they'll track your mileage and will give you a rate what you could save, so you don't have that commitment. So obviously, Progressive did this as well in the past. Now they've done it based on smartphone. So it's not warranted, as Shafi said. Like, we talk about Lemonade and Root and Hippo. Do they deserve all this funding? Like, did they do something that incredible that deserves this amount? Like, Metromile really doesn't deserve it because they didn't do anything. Like, at least with Root and Lemonade, there's growth. Hippo, there's the effort of launching a different kind of product. Metromile didn't do anything. They're talking about data science. They don't have a
Even their
data science
product is
team.
not original, right?
The
You had a
product,
company.
yeah. And so Nick, I want to ask you, work from home, is this niche going to be bigger?
I think so, yes.
And do you think this will get other insurers to get into the space?
Yes.
So that's a problem.
It is. And it's easy for them to get in. There's no defensible position. Metromile struck me as one of, or perhaps the first to look at this low mileage. Like, hey, we're gonna measure the amount that you drive, and have some sort of charging fee based off of that. And frankly, I feel like they lost that space. There's Root, Progressive's coming back into it. It's very easy I think it's very easy for someone to compete with them. And now they're competing with the OEMs, the Teslas, General Motors. I think we debated this last week. Ford, Mercedes is doing this in Europe. I don't know.
So before Metromile, there was Mile Meter, and according to their co-founder, they invented auto insurance by the mile, which user-based insurance, pay as you drive, right? So,
Yeah, and then I even look at my interview with Just Auto, and there's a mission with Just Auto that's still like a niche within that niche. Like they are truly trying to go after not only low mileage drivers, but low mileage drivers who have had DUIs, the substandard drivers, and use their technology to try to improve their driving. They're basically drivers that nobody wants, right? They're low mileage and they're not the best drivers. And it's like, I give them much more credit. Like that's a niche that no one is going to aggressively go after. All of the customers Metromile wants, everybody else wants too.
Yeah.
And Avi, you saw my tweet thread the other day. Not everyone is a good driver, right? Like it's like Lake Wobegon effect. Everyone thinks they're a good driver, but most people are horrible drivers, right? And so they don't deserve the discount or discounts or cheap insurance. Like they deserve the proper rate. And I do think work from home is going to be more common. And I mean, how difficult would it be for Geico to just do the same thing? It's
just call Cambridge Mobile Telematics and get it over with. And it's interesting. I was speaking to Cambridge Mobile Telematics, and they said there actually is an increase in insurance companies looking to explore pay-per-mile insurance because of the pandemic. And again, it's so funny because I was listening to the sales call, and I want to get it right, what Dan Preston said, which I thought was very accurate, but also very stupid. Like, why would you say something like that? Of course, that's insurance. Like, there's nothing else, and you will prove that there's nothing else soon. But so here it is. He said, when you think about U.S. auto insurance incumbents, they are at best marketing companies that deliver an inequitable product to the majority of their customers. Yes. Insurance is all about marketing. And because you eliminated your marketing team several times, the last pandemic with that was the last one, but before, many CMOs, many marketing teams, you don't know marketing. You don't understand that it's marketing. It's all about marketing. And now they say, and this is Apple, that your product is your best marketing. I believe in that. Apple has a great product, and that's their marketing. Metromile has a really bad product. And what I mean by the really bad product is they talked about engagement. That was one of the things. Like they have engagement, but negative engagement. They send out the Pulse device to people. You plug it into your car, and it loses signal. What happens when it loses signal? They charge you 150 miles per day because they can't track you. Now the customer is overpaying. He's like, what are you doing? The car was in the parking lot. So they had so many issues with the device. So now, again, they're going with the smartphone based because, I mean, finally they had people were complaining, people were leaving. Now, here's a stat. In 2019, and this is exclusive to Coverage, we never shared this, only with research members. In 2019, they sold 40,000 policies in total. They ended the year with a net gain of 7,000 policies. That's bad retention. One of the reasons for the bad retention, aside from a really bad product that causes, like, someone is saying, like, get the hell out of here. Like, you're overcharging me with 150 miles. I'm not dealing with this. Like, I'd rather go and suffer with regular insurance companies. At least I don't have to be on the phone and emails every day. And apparently they send them like emails threatening them. You have a grace period. If you don't do this in this time, we'll, charge you. The other element was people did not understand the product. When people signed up for Metromile, they got the device in the mail and they were saying, what the hell is this? What do you mean pay per mile? Isn't this regular insurance? So this is another thing, like where you talk about education of the product, and you need to understand, is the customer really aware of what they're getting? And let me tell you, this could be, and they talked about the lifetime value and people staying with them for longer. Yes. If you are by nature someone that doesn't drive a lot, then you don't drive a lot. And they didn't have any alternatives to Metromile. Like, who was competing with Metromile directly? Who? No one, really, no one. So they had a captive audience. Now, 5 years, that's when those singles with the Teslas or the fancy cars, they get married, they have a kid, and all of a sudden you have to drive because the wife says you have to drive. You have to go to the park, you have to go see family. So all of a sudden you're driving more, and Metromile loses that benefit, their advantage. And still, I believe in America, where bigger is better, bigger car, bigger house, bigger soda, bigger popcorn, bigger meal, they're going to have a very difficult time to grow this niche. And, you know, when Geico and Progressive and State Farm, they all came in with their credits, that was a retention play that caused many to not, leave and join Metromile. So that was their golden opportunity, and they missed it. And now the other thing where the company is kind of misleading investors, they shared their Q2 results, and they put their customer acquisition cost at around $220, something like that. Keep in mind that those costs, which are very attractive, they don't include any marketing. So this is just the underwriting fee and the cost of the device, the Pulse device. That's it.
Do we know that for certain?
For certain. And the reason is they have no sales and marketing team. One, they fired everyone. And the second is they eliminated marketing spend completely. They had a big direct mail campaign in Q1. They stopped that completely. So basically they're showing you a result of like, is as if this is an insurance company saying, well, these are our underwriting fees. This is what it's costing us, but there's no marketing. So obviously, you know, they have SEO, their top page when people search for pay-per-mile insurance, but that's not something people know to search for. So well, that's the thing. Like
there's some other problems too. For one thing, so I would classify Root as probably like a primary competitor. Root's already gone into homeowners and looked to potentially diversify the revenue stream. When I think of Metromile trying to do that, I only think of Metromile as auto and pay per mile. It'd be branding difficulty to try to, you know, get them to do homeowners. And that puts them behind the eight ball so badly because they're going to have competitors clawing around this thing, which I agree, Avi. I think they wasted a lot of time. Unfortunately, they could have owned this space, and they've kind of they've given that up. Too many competitors just in their niche, and I don't think they can diversify out. Lemonade could come in and do auto, right? And nobody would bat an eye. Metromile tries to do homeowners. I think everybody would roll their eyes.
And you know, the kind of, we did this report, and we looked at Metromile and Root and ClearCover and how efficient they are. And one of, you know, to measure efficiency is your workforce. And Metromile spent 40% of their total funding on payroll. 40% of their total funding on payroll. Compare that to Root with around 17%, and ClearCover also with around 17%. So they had so many people come in, so many people leave, laid off. The thing is, you know, Dan Preston, he's a technology guy. He talks about it all the time. Technology. You'll never, ever, ever build a better insurance product, ever. Like, even if I know you talk about Hippo, they have a better offering. Yes. If you include ACs in my coverage and I don't need to go to some shady warranty company, that's great. But anyone can do that. That's not a real advantage. Like, can you go and do what Apple does? No, they have patents. You won't be able to do it. With insurance, it's not like that. You look at Metromile's filing, all of their filings is, we're basing it on Progressive's, you know, snapshot. So there is no competitive advantage. You'll never have a competitive advantage. And now they're talking about in partnerships with Ford. So they recently announced a partnership. After 30 days, Ford will spot low mileage drivers, and they're going to send that lead to Metromile. So this is a problem, because if you're not there at the point of sale, to then get someone to say, hey, I know you already have insurance, but we could find you savings. That's a harder sell. Someone is already, I have it already. Maybe they bundle, maybe they're comfortable, maybe they get a good price. Like, you can't rely on that. So, and they think they're going to work with all of the car makers, which is ridiculous. The investor said, like, Chamath, they're going to work with all the car makers. Why do you think they will? Like, car makers are going to try and monetize their data as much as possible. So why would they just choose one company? And they're not even nationwide.
Yeah. And the car makers have better technology.
Oh, and accurate. You won't need the guys like, is it connected? Do you see a red light? If not, go to your car and install, uninstall. And let me tell you, they have so many product people, so many engineers, and they have such issues in their quote process. They're not trying to fix it. But what are you doing all these years? What did you do?
They're never going to keep up the pace.
They were building. Listen, they did not deserve it. It's not a company that executed well. Again, you could talk about Root, say Lemonade. They're not really doing anything innovative, but at least they're delivering results. At least they're showing growth. There's no growth with Metromile.
Root has about 80 open positions on their career page. Compare that to Metromile, and you're looking at around 10 or 11.
And this is an increase. And after this, the story, they were actually hiring for their B2B segment, the enterprise, and they found these naive Japanese insurers that, want to work with American companies. So they're taking advantage. They wanted to grow organically with their, B2C and put more effort on the B2B because he knows that he can't do anything. But of course, now this investment came and he's the king of the world. He's probably going to be on all the InsurTech conferences speaking and people will cheer, and he's an innovator, leader. But in reality, again, for me, it's very hard to separate now the business to personal, because business, they have no case. Personal, I could see why Chamath and others will come and look at Metromile and say, hey, work from home, pandemic, pay per mile insurance. It makes sense. It's a good story.
Well, let's expand on that story just a little bit here, right? It is a good story, but we're talking about investable businesses. There's no defensive position. I don't want to say anyone can do this, but they've already lost the mantle, right? They already lost that prime position of being the pay-per-mile company. Now there are several here, and there are more coming in. And one aspect I was trying to get to, Avi, in that Twitter thread that I was creating was do not discount you were talking about bigger everything in America. Do not discount a bigger balance sheet, right?
Oh, yeah.
If Geico wants those customers, Geico will get those customers. Collision and liability is a portion, a big portion, but a portion of the auto insurance premium. You know what else is a portion of the auto insurance premium? Random stuff, acts of God, catastrophic events, your car getting stolen, which has nothing to do with the way you drive. And guess what? The float that the company can generate, right? Geico doesn't have to buy reinsurance. Geico has a massive balance sheet where they're generating income. If Geico wants those customers, Geico will get those customers because they can be cheaper. This has nothing to do with better drivers, because that's just a piece of the overall insurance premium. And so everywhere you look, there's a problem. Like you said, I hate to compare companies to Apple or Google or things like that, but there's nothing defensible here. I will point to a company like Hippo and say, at least they're doing something different. What is different about Metromile? If Metromile disappeared, would there be an alternative? Yes, they have lots of alternatives that customers can go to. How are they gonna get that message through the noise of the other alternatives, the Roots, the Just Autos, all of these, the OEMs that are coming in? How are they going to get through that noise? And how are they going to get through the noise of just the incumbents, the State Farms, the Geicos, who can throw a lot of money at this? And if they want those good drivers, they're going to get them, right? It's a problem all the way around.
And what's funny is I'll give you one point about the loss ratio. They showed their great loss ratio. the pandemic proved to insurers without a telematics program that if people do not drive, you have fewer claims.
Yep.
So you, by nature, you have an audience that doesn't drive much. And I assume during the pandemic, they drove even less because, they could have stayed home. But everybody knows that. It's not like you have some amazing data that led you to this revolution.
Can we try something here? Let's, Sheffy, let's see if we could put our thinking caps on. Could we create a bullish case if, let's say we had some sort of pull? What would you do in their situation to potentially put them back on a route where you think they would deserve the funding? What types of things do you think, and for both of you, but what types of things do you think they could do?
Sheffy?
Go into conventional insurance. So go after the people that just need auto insurance.
So not pay per mile.
They're not pay per mile.
I think I like what Waze did. They did a carpool thing, and for Waze, it was an idea to help companies kind of save some money by not having to pay employees for parking, to park their car when they come to work. And they said, let's carpool. Like, hey, Nick, you'll drive and you'll pick Sheffy and myself, and we'll save some money, we'll save gas, we'll make the world friendlier, less traffic and all of that. I think if Metromile, because they have no chance if they go after regular car insurance, they have no chance. With the team that's in place, they have no chance. 100%.
But even with what with Wise did, I think that right now this company is struggling because people aren't commuting to work.
So now, yes, but I think before the pandemic, what they should have done, they should have made it more interesting for people to consider a pay per mile and say, so Nick, you drive what, 11, 12,000 miles a year? We cannot give you good savings, but we have a policyholder that lives right next to you. Maybe you can be friends and you'll drive to work together because you work at the same place. And
community.
With that, community, and save some money on the insurance as well. So that's the benefit, and maybe help with gas. But it's too late for that, because I find that
they did offer some elements of usability with their Metromile app with defined parking, right? So I think the thing with community is so easy to say it, so easy to understand what it means.
Very hard
hard to build. Yeah. Especially if you're not a marketing person and don't believe that it's a lot of small steps till you actually see results. And I think, back to what Metromile is going to do, which is that's probably what everybody should be asking. The question is, are you going for the mass, or are you going for, I'm going to be a small, nimble type of insurance company? If at the beginning, if you asked me this back in 2015, 16, or I don't know, 17, before they became a full stack insurer, I don't think they should have gotten the route of a full stack insurer. They should have stayed as an MGA and figured out how to fix their claims, which was a problem.
It still is a problem.
Well, if it still is a problem, then what did they achieve? Because you have to know, I think what people don't understand, first of all, there are so many types of MGAs and full stack insurers that have entered the market. And some of them actually have a new product. Some of them are, operating within the context of the, conventional insurance product that we know, which isn't necessarily bad, because people do buy auto insurance and home insurance and renters insurance. Lemonade renters insurance, very similar to Assurant renters insurance, right? They haven't innovated, but there is scale. So figure out if your product has scale or is relevant for a very limited kind of audience. And if it is, then your job is really just to make sure that you can offer that product in the most costly, efficient manner. But now they're going in more states, and we don't even know if there's demand there. So, or sometimes you just pick, you kind of say, hey, here's my white flag.
You should have, if we had accountability, really, just like, many criticized Quibi and they made fun of them, but they had the decency to raise their hands, say, we failed, we're going to return whatever money we had to investors. If there was some accountability in this world, Dan Preston should have done the same. He should have said, I tried, I failed. This product, listen, if you do pay per mile, it will never grow to be as big as, mass market. Never, ever, even with the work from home. Now, if Progressive says, oh, is there a market here? we're seeing people driving less. Let's offer a product. They're going to crush them. Geico is going to come in. They're going to crush them just because, as you said, they can spend more money on marketing. They can do it. So now, what is the difference if Geico and Progressive offer the exact same product as Metromile, but Geico and Progressive have a better price because somehow they can give you a better price?
Or they can find
we can't always
customers.
lead with that, guys. No, we can't. I mean, there won't be
Why not?
InsurTech if this is always the.
But
if
it
we
is.
always go back to Progressive and Geico, there are companies that are able to carve out a certain type of audience. Now the job is to grow with it.
But wait, what's a certain type of audience? When Root promises 52% of savings,
Right.
they are doing something someone established that has a reputation will not do because they don't want to disappoint customers.
But still, to this day, not everybody knows what Root Insurance is. There's always an opportunity.
Again, there's an opportunity in lying. Yes, to build a company for an IPO, there's an opportunity 100%. But if you go by the book, if you play by the rules,
nobody's playing by the book. Going by the book is Buffett buying Geico for 25% more of what the book value is. The market is no longer like that. Yeah. We have outside investors coming in and putting in their own valuation of where they think insurance companies should go. And this is really what the problem is, because they are comparing these new or modern entities into incumbents, not realizing how many more modern entities are there going after the same target market, maybe with different categories, but nobody's looking at the bigger picture.
So I don't want to be one of those people that's just like, well, if Geico wants to do this or Progressive wants to do this, they'll crush it. But Progressive kind of is already doing this, and both Geico and Progressive are still growing, right? And so I think the challenge for a company like Metromile is that even if they did have a better product, how do you cut through the noise, right? So listen, I'll give Lemonade credit here. Lemonade was controversial. They cut through the noise here, and they're growing rapidly. Yes, they're marketing and they're doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but I think their founders were very clever in that, hey, if we bash the incumbents and talk dirty about insurance because it's got a negative stereotype, that will play well. And it did. And they were able to really leverage that controversy to get a lot of folks to pay attention to them. Metromile doesn't have that. So even if they had a better product, how are they going to cut through the noise? Geico and Progressive cut through the noise because they have these huge marketing budgets. I just don't see a defensible position. There's nothing Metromile's doing that's going to create a network effect or a community. But I kind of like the community angle.
They're, as I said, they're now chasing after Root. Like Metromile is chasing after Root with a new feature. And again, what exactly is your goal? If your goal is to go for an IPO, you can do what Root did. Of course, now you can't do it because it's already been done. But to really build an insurance company by the books, and what I say by the books, I say, with loss ratio, try to be under 100 or in that range and try to make that money from investments and all of that. You can't do that. When you market to people, the younger folks, and it's proven younger people have more accidents than older people. They're in a hurry. So if that's your book of business, if that's what you're getting, that's what you get. With Metromile, they had an amazing, I thought was really good loss ratio because, again, they had that audience that doesn't drive. So when you don't drive, you don't have accidents. If they try to go now, the problem is, again, their product that's limited, because if they still go with the paper mile, someone's saying over 10,000, I don't want to calculate. I don't want to think about it. I think about it. Well, I lease a car and I put 10,000. I think about it every day. I don't want it.
Sheffy, that was the blog post I wrote for Coverager several years ago about on-demand insurance. That was something that I thought was problematic, was when you put that sort of cap limit on, now you're getting the customer to think about it and actually change their behavior. That might actually be what they wanted to do, but it's annoying, right? The whole point of technology is that, you can kind of do your thing and it's taking care of you in the background. If I have a 10,000 mile limit or whatever it is, and I'm getting warned that hey, you're approaching your limit and your rate's going to go up, I don't want to have to I'm going to take a train for the next month so I don't hit my limit. It's an annoyance.
Especially because this is where I remember we have this like thing like, what are your two truths and a lie, or two lies and a truth, or whatever it is. And back in 2018, when people were asking me to just give the state of InsurTech, I would always say, like, the InsurTechs came in saying, we know the customer, we're going to understand what they want to do and how they want to do it. But in the reality is, first of all, your customer is absolutely not loyal to you. People will switch. They'll go from Metromile to Geico and vice versa. They'll return from Geico to Metromile to save a buck. That's one type of customer. There are different types of customers, and you have to go and figure out which customer you want to target. You could do that nowadays because of, different apps, different marketing, etc., which probably wasn't available 10 years ago. But if we're talking about removing friction out of insurance, and that's all it boils down to. But by the way, insurance boils down to distribution. I just had a conversation with someone, and he was telling me how insurance sales is really hard. Okay, first that tells me that he's not selling, and second thing it tells me is that he doesn't understand the game of insurance. You do have to sell your product. So taking away the friction isn't aligned with offering on-demand insurance. And for the most part, people that are in the on-demand game, either it's like trivial, like travel insurance, where you turn it on and turn it off, and that's okay. But with auto insurance, with cyber insurance, as we've seen, Airbnb, come on, people don't want to think about insurance. It doesn't work. What works is we want a fair price. You can't guarantee cheap price all the time, but fair price is something that resonates. And that's why we're seeing Root, carve a market for itself. And Metromile is basically a weaker version of a fair insurance price, right? But you have to remember why people come in, right? And this is basically, look, you go to the supermarket. Somebody gave me this example, right? We're going to go for the milk aisle to get milk. If you grabbed an Oreo on the way, it doesn't mean you entered the supermarket for the Oreo. So you have to understand what your sweet spot with the customer is, why they're coming. And oftentimes they are coming to save money. So can you deliver on that? And then, of course, what happens in claims. But not everybody has that conversation around claims. So you're not seeing too many insurers focus their marketing on that side of the equation.
I think the Lemonade customers are coming in because of the community. I think it's a message that resonates, and they kind of like being part of this thing that's sort of giving the finger to traditional insurance, even though we know that's not what's actually happening. But they feel that way.
This is the brilliance of Lemonade. How did Lemonade start? You have to start with the seed followers, okay? Who was Coverager seed followers? The folks at Celent. Thank you very much, Celent, right? And our job was to grow from that, right? But with Lemonade, who were their core community? Insurance professionals, the insurance professionals that they annoyed, the insurance professionals that called them liars, that got insulted by their claims. I would go and they would say, I have Lemonade, please don't write that. I'm like, okay, that's legit. We all try the system.
I was their marketing muse. Like I was helping them spread the message. And the more Avi, like the Motley Fool guy on Twitter, the more evidence I presented, the more he loved Lemonade. Like to me, it was like more proof that like, oh, these cockroaches are coming out to defend the insurance industry. Lemonade must be doing something right. I'm going to invest more money.
And by the way, this is why
people were protective. People were saying, "Oh, why were employees were saying, why were you saying this about our company?" And we do pay claims, but perception is reality.
Yes.
And Lemonade, had a very successful IPO, so that's the new market.
Could Metromile do commercial? Could that be an angle?
I think Metromile, they technically, if you can build it with a computer, with a software, if you could bring an engineer to build it, they could build anything because they have many engineers that are doing nothing. So technically, they could build whatever they want to. And again, this is a problem. If Dan Preston doesn't stop thinking about the product, he will fail. I mean, he's failed already, but now he has this lifeline. If you keep on thinking about the product, you will fail. If you want to succeed, you need to think about marketing, because now with car makers coming into the picture, get this dongle shit out of my car. I'm not putting this. They will own the data. accurate data. Now it's you begging them to, can we integrate? How much are you going to pay them for the lead? And of course, then
That's why you need to go to the conventional auto product. So we do think alike.
But once they go to the conventional, Shafi, they cannot go to the conventional auto product because they have no shot at being any visible online. No freaking way that they can make it.
Unless there are thousands of farm bureaus and insurance companies, regionals all over the country that don't offer auto. I'd be looking as a business development tool, partnering with them and say, hey, let's bundle our stuff together. You can't do auto. We can't do homeowners. Let's unite. That'd be an angle I would
zero
actually
plus zero equals zero. That's what I would say about that.
No, maybe it's 0.1 plus 0.1.
But the thing is, like, if you the problem is the business, and we see this with Lemonade and Root. Like, they raised a lot of money to grow very quickly, and that's mistake number one in insurance. You cannot grow very quickly because the customer doesn't care. I
agree.
So when you bring in the new ones, the ones that are just coming into the market and they're young and they're careless and they don't have any money, so yeah, probably you'll find them. But is that the customer that will take you all the way? Look at Root's claims. The loss ratio it's crazy. So
I'm not for the most part, I'm not convinced that insurance is venture worthy because the tactic, because you said growth, right? And like, that's the big thing. You want growth and market share. And how have all of these companies been able to do that? Predominantly by undercutting the price. That is not a strategy. That won't hold water over time. I think for those that are listening that don't understand insurance, they have to understand this particular dynamic. If you're a retailer and you cut price, your goal is that if you get particular market share, you'll get a market dynamic where when you do raise the price down the road, you've kind of tied them into your ecosystem. The difference with insurance is when you reduce price, you're going to get a whole bunch of customers. And a lot of times you're going to get a whole bunch of like really bad customers. This is not like I sold a $50 product for $25 and I'm losing $25 on that product. When you get the wrong customer, this is a leveraged business. You get the wrong customer, the loss dynamics dramatically change. You could get losses that are like just grow out of control. It has happened time and again with insurance companies that have looked to grow market share by cutting price. They get the wrong customers coming in, and it's not, we sold a $500 policy for $250. We only lost $250. It's like, no, you lost the $250 plus the $300,000 on the liability that you paid.
I'll build on that. Because that's the point. When you get the right customer, you also grow with that customer. Yep. And you know what other products to move into or to expand to. Yep. We haven't seen that with Metromile.
Yep.
So there is no community for Metromile, period.
I would say we have seen it with Lemonade. As much as I disagree, I think they know who their customer is and are designing the business model. And I would say we've seen it with Hippo as well. Different tack, different strategy. It's got a chance. At least Lemonade's got a chance. I can't crap on Lemonade and say they're going to fail. I don't think they'll succeed because of the founders.
Has 90,000 policies in like 10 years. 90,000. Root sells like half of that in a quarter. I mean, they're not doing anything. Wow. That's the thing. And again, this is, to me, we talk about strategy, we talk about distribution and where it's at. But before that, there's a thing called managing a company and making sure the employees are doing their job well and leadership is doing their job well. And that's not the case with Metromile. They have a very bad foundation. And now you're asking them to take on the very challenging task of competing with so many other players. And, Lemonade was successful in doing that. Root was successful. Hippo was successful. Metromile was not, and unless they change the leadership, I don't know if they could, make it, because really it's about changing the focus of an entire organization.
I'm not bullish on Root, but I'm less bullish on Metromile. Like they need a dramatic change here. Personal auto, the way they do it, is not going to work for them. It's not. Let's put it. It's not investable. I wouldn't put any money in this. I would, my strategic advice to them, and it's probably worth 5 cents, is I would go to commercial or look to partner in some other area to get massive access to distribution in a very expensive way, or work on a problem where your technology can make a significant difference, like commercial auto, which is a disaster with loss ratios well in excess of 100. No one has come into that space and fixed that problem, and you might be able to be the company you thought you were going to be 10 years ago.
That's actually a good idea. You just gave them a very good idea. They could target truckers that only drive on the weekend. Part-time truckers. They'll have amazing loss ratio compared to the industry average. And maybe they'll be able to raise maybe they'll do a second company. They'll go for another SPAC in like 10 years. Something. Do you do pay-per-mile for truckers? Does that exist?
I don't think so. I mean, I know that there are all sorts of telematics that have been put in trucks you can measure the temperature of the cargo. They're tracking all of those things, but I don't know who. Something's wrong because the loss ratios are still well in excess of 100. So if I would come in, I hate competition. To me, it's like anytime I see some company that's like, hey, we're starting this thing, the first thing I think about is, what are you competing against? How are you different? If you can't be different, then Metromile was different for a little while, but they never took advantage of it. I would say they got a second shot now. What can you do that can be different? Go to areas that people are afraid to tread into. And if that's trucking nuclear material, go into that and solve that. And now you own the whole market.
You need to be different, relevant, and sustainable. And even if they were different for a little bit, obviously it wasn't relevant for a lot of people, and then it didn't make it sustainable. So they have to solve.
Or it could have been relevant, Sheffy. It could have been relevant, but they didn't market it correctly. That's the message I'm getting from you guys.
It also could have been, as we said, it could have been a niche, and you didn't deserve raising all that money to be such a big company because there was no chance that you could make it. So maybe that is one of the specific areas. And again, obviously pandemic, but it's such a, like, people forget that, humans are very complex. Like, even if you could save, doesn't mean that I'm going to do it, because it's not something that I constantly think about. If you put out a good show, you better believe it that it may take me a week, but I'll find it. I'll find that good show because people talk about it. And this is the problem with the product. I say it, and I say it again. Really, insurance companies do not, in personal lines, do not have the right to be consumer-facing brands. It starts with that. That is the problem. That is, to me, the number one problem. And again, specifically with Metromile, because they're so in love with the product, and we saw where that got them, nowhere. But again,
never get high on your own supply.
Yeah, but now listen, they have a second chance. They have money. Should Root be worried with Metromile? They should not. Should Progressive or Geico be worried with Metromile? They should not. Should the investors be worried with Metromile? They should.
Yeah.
The end.
The end. No, the end. I'm not 100% sold on the. Are they worthy enough to be a personal brand? I think Lemonade and Hippo are challenging that. We'll see. You're probably right, but hey, at least Avi, Sheffy, you guys hit on the key thing. If Lemonade customers brag about their product.
Okay, but you have to ask Lemonade customers, especially the renters one, how did you first hear about Lemonade? And more often than not, the question is through our leasing company or our broker. Yeah. It wasn't always direct.
That's okay. I understood.
And by the way, we talked about this.
Different.
We talked about this, and this is, I told you, this is the scam that goes across the internet. Allbirds, they had all this like hook with tech people. They fooled everyone. They fooled me. I returned the shoes. Of course, I got my money back. But that's what they did. And by the way, that's why they're not as successful in Germany, because who will buy American insurance in Germany? People that like America. Okay, so the tech people that are very advanced. But a German, Give me, you know, a wiener, a hot dog, or whatever they eat. They don't care about that. So, but they did something. That's the thing. Like, they really got people to talk about it. They saw all the insurance professionals. I have 2 policies with Lemonade. I'm not happy with my pet insurance, but I'm a customer, you know. So they did something, and
They did something.
You gotta give them credit with that.
Yes.
And by the way, when I say insurance companies don't have the right to be consumer-facing brands, it doesn't mean that you need to forfeit. I just say that you need to be in the background and control what's happening. So, as I said, tomorrow Geico should buy Chime and have it Chime by Geico, and that's it. Make money from banking. You need to ask yourself a question as an organization before you do anything. Are you willing to make money outside of insurance? If tomorrow someone will give you an opportunity to be in the movie business and you'll make money, would you want that? If tomorrow someone will tell you be in the hospitality business and you'll make money, would you want that? And maybe there's a way to cross-sell insurance. Maybe it's not your insurance, maybe it's someone else's insurance. If the answer is yes, then the opportunity is big, because, you know, insurance is such a neutral product, and that's an advantage nowadays. You know, if someone is a media liability insurer, if it's Access Capital, we're covered with them. You want to distribute to the future media stars, go buy Substack. It's going to cost you very little. Buy Substack and integrate your insurance there. If it's people want to buy. If not, they'll make money. So when we say don't be consumer facing with the product doesn't deserve to be at the center of things.
I get it now. I think that makes sense. Okay, well, this is a great conversation post Thanksgiving.
We hope we didn't offend anyone. I mean, I hope I didn't offend anyone.
I'm sure we have. There's nothing we can do about it. That's how we get listeners. We got to be controversial. But any closing remarks?
I met someone yesterday that met Kim Kardashian.
Who?
The Thanksgiving, the brother. He's a
the creative guy.
No, the other one. He shoots films, and he apparently, she's like 3.5 hours to get her hair and makeup. But after they finish, she's pretty. But before, she's not. You know, she's not amazing.
Yeah. Well,
but that's a nice job. That's nice. You know, to meet Kim Kardashian. What are we doing? Talking about insurance. That stinks.
Well, Coverager it was formerly Insurance Entertainment, right? Like.
It was. The name was too long. It was a great name, but it was just too long.
So we entertain. So for all of you listening, you're welcome.
You have to entertain in order to make something interesting, by the way. So
I agree. I agree. And so, Avi, to your point about consumer-facing brands, I'm with you. That's what intrigues me about like the whole Hippo thing, is that like you can see them desperately trying not just to be an insurance product, but something else.
And he mentioned, you know, maybe being a locksmith, on-demand locksmith. There's an opportunity right there. There is no on-demand locksmith. If you can help people save money when they are locked out of their car or home, that's a good thing for Hippo. They'll make money, and they'll be able to sell more policies.
Metromile should reach out to us. I think we could do a tremendous offsite and really get them on track. So Metromile, if you're listening, we're very inexpensive.
We're not traveling.
No, we can do it over Zoom or Teams. And we're very inexpensive compared to, you know, Milliman or Deloitte or any of those companies. So hire us. So we'll help you. So happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to Sheffy, Avi, as usual. Awesome conversation. And for everyone that's listening, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And now we get into the rush to the end of the year, and hopefully we survive like one more month. One more month, and we did it. I survived 2020 t-shirts, Coverager style. So for Sheffy, for Avi, Sheffy, thank you. Everyone else, thank you as well. And this has been This Week in Coverager for the Thanksgiving week of November 27th. Avi, Sheffy, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.